Hi guys, so today's video title is bodybuilding, body composition and fat loss. Now the reason why I put those three together is predominantly for those of you out there who don't seem to think that there's nothing in common with bodybuilding and fat loss and body composition, but those of you who quite clearly dismiss the fact that you are bodybuilding, or that bodybuilding should play a part in the way that you look at your programming. Now, before I move forward, let me just explain something about bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is a sport where the end goal is that somebody is judged. So the sport of bodybuilding is where you develop your physique with balance and symmetry and aesthetics. You condition yourself to an extremely low body fat percentage that shows off every single cut and line of muscle tissue and fibers across the body, which shows the separation and the detail, and the art form of bodybuilding is presenting that on stage in a very full and presentable style. Now, that's when you see people go on stage and they're judged against other people, and they're potentially given feedback, and they're told to potentially go away and work on a particular area. Now, it's this working on the particular area which should be of a level of interest to the day-to-day person who goes to the gym, who says, no, I'm not bodybuilding, I'm just in here trying to keep in shape, or I'm here just to lose a little bit of body fat. Well, let me just call upon a few years of my experience and say that every single time somebody comes and sits opposite me, of course one of their goals is going to be fat loss, because that's what I do. Secondly, one of their goals is always going to be weight loss in many people's cases, until we educate them otherwise. And then thirdly, one of the most common things people will tell us is that they don't like a particular shape of their body. So they feel that there's no shape to their chest if they're a male, there's no shape to the shoulders as a female, or even shape to the arms and shoulders as a male. But then there's also women that will say that they don't feel they've got fullness and, you know, the hardness to the glutes that they want, to the bottom. And then there's guys that come in that say no matter how much they train, they can't grow their calf muscles. They don't seem to have, you know, legs that fill out at the sides, and as in bodybuilding we call that the sweep. And so, you know, they'll say that, bearing in mind what I'd like to achieve as well as fat loss and, you know, and a degree of weight loss, and, you know, I want to shape my body. Now, let's then link this back to bodybuilding. Bodybuilding is the art of shaping your body. Shaping your body in an aesthetical, or taking into consideration aesthetics. So balance. Now, you might not be bodybuilding for your sport, but you can be bodybuilding for pleasure. And everybody who is in a gym and they are trying to develop particular muscles in their body are bodybuilding. And it's not a problem for you to tell people that you bodybuild. You actually don't bodybuild for a sport, but you bodybuild as a hobby. You know, you look at improving certain areas of your body. Now, there may be people with certain lagging muscle groups as a result of an injury. So for a short period of time in professional sport, we might apply bodybuilding methodology to quickly develop a muscle, and then we apply the principles of strength training for performance to make that muscle very reactive, very fast, and very strong. So bodybuilding is a group of principles, especially where the weight training is concerned, because how many of you go to the gym on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, and let's just, you know, leave the nutrition aspect to one side for a second, and you do calf raise after calf raise after calf raise, week in, week out, and your calves don't grow? How many of you do biceps curls week in, week out, and they don't grow? How many of you tend to do the lat pull down, and you seem to have some level of back width, but when you look at your photos, you have no depth and thickness to the center column of your spine, the erector spinae muscles? How many of you as females, you know, actually commented on the photo on Facebook recently and said you would rather the more muscular physique of a woman as opposed to the day-to-day heavier set woman. Well, I'll tell you now, it was a large percent, up to 85% wanted more muscles. Now, you're not going to develop the roundness to your shoulders and nice shape to your arms by just sitting there in the gym and doing 3 sets of 10 on shoulder press once a week. This is where the more successful or more investigative people will look into how to grow their shoulders. They'll look into how to grow their back. They'll look at different muscles of the body. And this is one of the reasons why our transformations that we achieve are, pretty much throw a lot of people, because they think you can't develop shoulders like that in a quick space of time unless you're using some form of assistance, or you can't develop, people's legs or calves or chest. Well, I'll tell you right now, you can, because you can't challenge something unless you actually know about it. And most people that come and see us here know very, very little about bodybuilding. And they don't know that sometimes we'll train people where we'll train shoulders 3 times a week. I recovered from an injury and trained legs upwards of 3 times a week. If you don't know much about bodybuilding, you're not then in a position to be able to critique somebody that's developed muscle tissue pretty quickly by using different techniques to you. And so we'll have somebody come in here who's never been able to develop calf muscles, and after a pretty short space of time, 2 or 3 months, they've got a nice set of calf muscles, and we're using a lot of different techniques. So these techniques are bodybuilding. And ultimately, if you go to the gym to lift weights, you lift weights. All right? That's all you do. There's no real method to it. You just lift weights. And you have a very basic, standard shape to you. It's probably not even a shape. It's just you've lost a lot of body fat. You potentially have lost quite a lot of weight. And then you're the person that's turning around and saying, right, well, I've lost all this fat and this, the weight's come down. But you're then moaning that you've not got a shape. You then get into the summer holidays and thinking, crikey, if I'd applied a few different methods and or at least asked somebody for a little bit more advice, I might actually have a better shape to my body. So when we train our clients here, we actually put in place, as well as strength training methodology, as well as a lot of biomechanical and structural training, a lot of bodybuilding principles. And that's why people change. So, when we talk about body composition on the internet, and we talk on our Facebook page about bodybuilding, we're not talking about little trunks and bikinis and people getting up on stage and flexing their muscles. We're talking about principles that are actually going to make you, your body, you, the average Joe, change a lot quicker than your friends. So over the next few months, I'm going to be posting a lot more videos. I'm going to be posting a lot more videos about training different muscle groups, using various different exercises, and potentially along the way I'm going to be talking about training frequency and how often you can train muscles. I'm going to be showing you ways to combine different exercises together which you wouldn't necessarily have thought would be the norm. But this is because I'm going to start talking a little bit more about bodybuilding. I'm going to start talking about bodybuilding in context with body composition and fat loss. Because you lift weights, but you don't really put the theory of bodybuilding towards what you do. So you're not going to learn a lot about the sport of bodybuilding, because that's not what you're following this page for. Maybe some of the physique goals, the physique athletes that we put out there, or any of the transformations are inspiring to you. But a lot of the reasons why you won't change in the gym is because you're not looking outside the box of the conventional weight training and beyond your intermediate or even beginner level of training. So be prepared for a few more educational videos going out there. And when somebody talks to you about bodybuilding, understand that there is bodybuilding as going to the gym to improve your aesthetics and shape to your physique just for you, and there is bodybuilding as a sport, which is the end goal is getting up on stage. So don't be frightened of the word, and get excited for some of the education that's going to be coming out soon, and prepared to grow and develop.